What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning into another episode of the Culture Decides. You already know I'm your host, Lee, and I had to come back at the end of the month with some updates. May was definitely an interesting month. It was exciting for me because I got to go to see Kendrick on tour and just in music in general. Like, man, shit happened this month. We had Joey going at the West, like a lot of good music dropping from R&B, rap, reggae, Afro beats, all of the good things. You know what I'm saying? So this is going to more or less be a recap of those things, but this episode specifically is going to have a lot of album reviews. I'm just getting to the music for real. Like, I do have a couple things to sprinkle in on the news end, but before I get there, unfortunately, the Knicks took the L. You probably already know that by now. So I just had to sadly give that update that I did watch that game to the end. And honestly, I ain't have high hopes. I ain't have high hopes with any New York team, and some of you guys that may be a fan of another team that may be taking L's. You got to know not to put all of your energy and your good faith into them, because if you do, you get mad. And I ain't trying to get mad at nothing anymore that I can't control. So that's what happened. But, outside of the tragic L that the Knicks took, like I said, I wish you all are doing well and enjoying yourselves. And, thank you all for always tuning in and listening and, staying tuned with me, you know what I'm saying, in the show. So, now, just a couple reminders. Music submission form is still live. So the first review will actually be the next episode, lucky number 13. I gassed it up a bit, but no, it's coming soon, I promise. I just wanted to get a couple more submissions so that way I could give you guys something really good. So that is still OTW for the next episode. Now, in the meantime, make sure y'all hit me up by pressing that link in the bio with your thoughts, any feedback you have. If you want me to review a specific album, it doesn't have to be new. It could be a throwback album, or a specific artist. I'm here. I want to hear what y'all got to say. So hit that link. So as far as the agenda, I'm going to do some news highlights slash lowlights. And then I also will get into some songs on repeat. That usually includes some artists that like y'all should know if y'all don't know them. And then towards the end, the project reviews. Like I said, this one's going to be a jam-packed episode with some project reviews. For the news, I'm going to keep it real light. I'm going to dive into on repeat, which is generally really quick. And then I got y'all with the news review. So I got y'all with the project review. So as far as the project reviews, I will be talking through 2 EPs, 1 mixtape, and 2 albums. Those 2 EPs, because they're really short, I figured I'd give y'all an extra project in there. They're literally, one is like 4 songs, the other 6. So I will be doing reviews for Blxst, Youngn MH, Kai Cash, 450, and Aminé. So yeah, 5 projects. But like I said, it's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be a good one to keep y'all entertained. These reviews are gonna be across rap, R&B, and reggae. So listen, 3 of my favorite genres I'm gonna be talking to y'all about. So I'm excited to talk to y'all about that. All right, let's hop into that news. So 3 things real quick. I feel like it's only right that I talk to y'all about this battle that Joey was having with the West Coast. Now I know some of my folks from the West Coast have been feeling a way that we saying is Joey versus the West, when it's really not the entire West. It's just a few artists from the West. But listen, forgive me if I referred to it as that. It really did feel like he was going against a lot of people. So that's why a lot of us have been saying versus the West. And, as far as like who he went up against, for those of you that don't know, Joey Badass was facing off against Ray Vaughn, Daylight, Absol, eventually Reason, AZ Chike. I know I'd be saying as Chike, forgive me. And then he had some other people step in on his side, CJ Fly from Pro Era, J1, and a lot of rappers was getting busy in the last few months, but specifically in the month of May. They were like, there wasn't a day that didn't go by that we wasn't here responsible for one of these dudes. So like I said, that I definitely wanted to talk to y'all about, because like, first of all, this been stemming from since pretty much January, if you count Joey's track that he dropped, The Ruler's Back. And you know that has some people feeling away like, what you mean The Ruler's Back? Who you, bro? You been over there acting and everything with 50, but nah, Joey has always been a talented rapper. A lot of new rap fans and younger rap fans aren't really familiar with him, but like when I was like in fucking middle school, Joey Badass was rapping his ass off. So it was great to see him get active. Last year he kind of dropped like he dropped a song called Passport. So he was sprinkling in things here and there, but honestly, I'm ready for the project at this point. But anyways, he kicked it off. Daylight followed up within, I believe it was like a week later, and then within that same week, a day later, Ray Vaughn responded. And then, Joey and CJ Fly from Pro Era was like, oh, nah, fuck that. We got to respond to these dudes. But no lie, a couple weeks went by. So it was like, yo, is he gonna respond? You was talking all that shit. You kicked off the year kind of crazy. Now you taking over a week to get back to us. Whatever. Joey responded with sorry, not sorry. And then CJ Fly, he did a freestyle to Daylight's this How You. So that was like, oh shit, all right, it's looking kind of interesting, you know what I'm saying? And then they threw some jabs in February. It was really Joey, Ray Vaughn, and Daylight going at each other. Going at Joey, I guess you could say 1v2 during that month. They calmed down in March. Nothing was really going on. And it was like, all right, let's see what's going on. Can we determine that Joey's the winner? Yeah, I feel like, yeah, but whatever, we continue on. So now the end of April comes around, literally like dead ass the end of April. Like it was like April 28th, I believe. Daylight responds with Backpack. And then Ray Vaughn follows up a week later. I'm like, damn, every time it's like an orchestrated attack. Every time, one makes a move, another follows up, whether it's a day or a week later. I'm like, all right, y'all really trying to make sure y'all like bury him with these lyrics, right? So all that happens. And then, of course, the Red Bull freestyle happens with Big Sean, Joey Badass, and Ab-Soul. Now, Joey and Ab-Soul did have a couple moments where they were kind of like taking some jabs at each other, and Joey even called out some of his mans from the West Coast, like, yo, like they talking all that crazy shit. They don't know who I am. What the fuck? Like, you know what I'm saying? So I thought that was a really great battle. And, some people say Cypher. Yes, it was a Cypher, but I called it was a little a friendly fade, if you will. You know what I'm saying? So I count it as him and Absol was just testing it out to see how they could, see how they could come at each other. Because later on, Absol did end up, saying his response was kind of like a Joey. I mean, you held your own, in my opinion, but so the Red Bull freestyle happens, right? And then this is when I feel like everybody started to get like, oh, now we really got to battle it out, right? I feel bad for Big Sean because he was overshadowed, but he did do well. But other than that, the moment was really about Joey and Absol and what was to come, right? So after that, it was up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm talking like everyone was responding like no later than like 24 hours. And like, Joey even got Loaded Lux involved. Kai Cash jumped in. And that's actually why I'm reviewing his project. I was really impressed with his response on Nixon 6. And I was like, yo, who's this dude? And then I go, and I'm like, oh, he dropped a project? Let me go review that shit. So throughout the beef, I should say, there were a couple low blows towards, Steve's RP, which I feel like, some people argue like, hey, you can't say certain things during a rap battle. It's a rap battle. You can say whatever you want, right? But I think, nevertheless, I do think it was like, damn, you didn't have to do Steve's like that. He's been like, he passed mad long ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it was unfortunate, but whatever. It happened. And Joey came back and handled Daylight and everybody else lyrically, which I feel like that's the way you got to go about it, right? If somebody wants to take low blows, all right, bet. Like Kendrick said, you want to take it there, I'll take it further. So that's what happened. And like I said, like a lot of people are sleeping on Joey. They didn't know like he's a lyrical genius, and I feel like he showed that. And I feel like the big question was, does Joey have what it takes to face off against Kendrick? You know, because he was definitely throwing some shots and trying to like get Kendrick like, yo, I don't even want to face off with these dudes. Let me get at that. Let me get at that. Let me get at the one at the top. And I feel like it would be an interesting battle, but I don't know if Kendrick, I mean, none of us know if he would respond, but I would love to just see like more of these kind of like battles. Like, you ain't gonna go sue after, you ain't gonna do none of that funny shit after. You said what you said, and that was it. And whoever wins at the end, that's who wins. That's who can talk their shit and stomp their feet if they want to, because they did what they had to in the booth. But I digress. Now I would say my favorite song out of the whole battle, I really did like the finals, specifically the shot clock violation bar that Joey had said, like, hey, if you take longer than 24 hours to get back to me, it's a shot clock violation. Like, you know what I'm saying? I was like, okay, okay, okay. And there was a lot of other fire things said. Like, throughout the battle, a lot of other people performed well. Like Kai Cash, like I said, I was really impressed with, which is why I'm reviewing his work. um Joey did his thing, and Ray Vaughn too. I mean, Ray Vaughn has been rapping, y'all. He has actually been dropping music. He actually dropped a project not so long ago. I think it's called The Good, the Bad, the Dollar Menu. And actually, Obi did a review of that too. Y'all check that one out. But he just has been consistently putting on for TDE in the West Coast. And I ain't mad at his performance throughout the battle. I just think Joey's just at another level. But I'm glad Ray wasn't shying away from any call outs for nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, keep that same energy and he will go far. Now, on to the second thing I wanted to talk to you about. This one is a little bit more on the serious side. I feel like it's important for me to just take a stand and just, you know, speak up as far as like what I've been seeing online, and just make it known as far as how I feel about what's going on. So, you know, there is the Diddy case going on, and a lot of people have been insensitive towards Cassie, and going as far as like calling people out for, you know, testifying, and calling Kid Cudi out for showing up to something he was subpoenaed for. Like, it makes no sense. If he didn't show up and tell a story, then he would have been in trouble, right? So I think a lot of people don't understand certain legalities, and even if like he had a choice or whatever the case is, I feel like it was right for him to do what he had to do. I think it's not our business to like try to diminish the trauma she went through. Like, that's not something anyone should do. And like I said, the comments online, I've seen people just attacking other people for being supportive of Cassie, and, you know, of Kid Cudi speaking up as well. And like, I feel like Young Thug was really corny when he called Cudi a snitch. And like, I feel like there's just certain situations where you don't even need to refer to someone as a snitch. Like, Cudi's not out here claiming he's a gangbanger or repping no set, shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to have your beef with Gunna, whatever. I still think he's a better artist right now as far as how he's been able to come out of jail and drop consistently. And Thug, he hasn't dropped yet, but so far what he has done hasn't been super impressive. I want to hear his project, but now I'm just like, bro, you being corny on the net. You need to worry about that project. You know what I'm saying? So now this is why I say, like, don't overly glorify any artist. You know, even Kendrick, that dude could turn around and do something disappointing that I don't like either. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I never want to put myself in a position to be greatly disappointed by someone I don't even fucking know. You know what I'm saying? But unfortunately, it does happen. You do have people that you're like, oh, I love this celebrity, this artist, or whatever the case is, right? I do think, though, there are some people that are unable to stop holding on and unable to realize, hey, that person may not be a good person, and make, you know, decisions accordingly. But like I said, I feel like it was important for me to speak up and say, like, hey, it's wrong. And if you're someone that feels as though Cassie deserved that, you're fucked up. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like, you know, people have a habit to not believe victims. And, you know, some might say, oh, it's not the same. But, you know, that same mentality that they have carries over to the way they treat Meg. You know, with Meg and Tory, look, thankfully he did get arrested for the crime he did, but people are trying to, you know, like, people are trying to misconstrue the truth, you know what I'm saying, and try to claim things as new evidence. First of all, if you're thinking the body cam footage is new evidence, you weren't paying attention to the case. Meg had already said in the beginning the reason why she didn't claim to be shot at first is because she was scared for all of their lives. They're all black, in a car, drunk, in the middle of the night, with a firearm. And at this time, George Floyd had unfortunately just passed away. So it was heightened times during this time when this event, it was literally July 2020. You know what I'm saying? So I do think it's sad that people would take anything and not do their research and be like, look, this means she needs to be in jail. And I'm like, y'all are mad at her, but really the state of California are the ones that pursued the case. They're the ones that said, hey, Tori, you shouldn't have had a gun and you did something wrong over here and we are going to, like, put you on trial. So Megan had to show up for that. But I don't want to get overly upset. I just want to let y'all know that, I've seen these things online. People even coming at me for, like, I'll say a comment under a post just like supporting both Meg and Cassie, and people will literally like try to call me out and call me like out my name and shit. I'm like, whatever, I don't give a fuck if you want to call me out my name. If you want to stoop that low because of something you believe, that's on you. That's on your moral. That's on your conscience. I wish Meg the best, and I hope she's able to like withdraw away from like social media because y'all be toxic, okay? You know what I'm saying? And same thing for Cassie. I hope she's able to find peace and like while this case is ongoing, like able to withdraw. And anyone that may be triggered or watching while like seeing these things online or things like that, I hope you're able to find peace as well, because it's ridiculous and it is heartbreaking too. You go in these comments, you're like, damn, people really think like that. That's fucked up. But can't have too much faith in people you do not know, okay? And like I said, that's why I don't overly glorify anyone, because look, people will let you down. At one point, Diddy was a producer, artist, everything creative that people adored, and now it's like, ugh, ick, you are a monster, all right? And it's okay to let go. It's okay to let go, especially if these people don't affect your day to day. Now, let's move back on to the music. And this is my last news topic for this episode. It is about Pusha T and Def Jam. So y'all know Pusha T is dropping an album with clips in July. So him and his brother are part of that group, just in case y'all didn't know. And they will be dropping this project mid-July. Now, of course, leading up to the project, every artist is going to have the rollout and everything like that, do interviews. So Pusha actually just did an interview where he talked about a few different things, y'all. He spoke about just like his beef with Jim Jones. He spoke about how he currently feels about Ye, and also dropped a bombshell about Def Jam. So Kendrick is apparently supposed to be featured. Not apparently, he is going to be featured on one of the songs. It's called Chains and Whips, which was actually previewed during the Louis Vuitton fashion show. I think this was during Paris Fashion Week. But anyways, the point is that the song was recently previewed without Kendrick's verse. And apparently Def Jam asked to have Kendrick's verse altered, and if not altered, they asked to just remove him off the song completely, and Pusha T refused, which as he fucking should. Because why are you trying to like censor rap? Like, what the fuck? That's not the point of rap. The point of music, period, is to have artist expression, self-expression, to say whatever the fuck you want. Obviously, like, don't be saying no crazy shit on here or weird. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's limits, right? But whatever. These rappers have always been known to just be authentic, be raw, say the truth, speak on real life shit that goes on. You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of weird that they asked that of him. And the type of rapper Pusha T is. But whatever, they asked him to remove Kendrick off the song. And after he didn't alter or remove Kendrick, they decided to part ways with, Pusha and Clips. And it was like, oh, you rather fumble an opportunity because you're afraid of some lawsuit coming at you as well. And I feel like this is the problem. This is a huge problem now. Like, this lawsuit is now creating a divide and promoting censorship within rap. And now it's having these labels move like scary. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it's ridiculous. This guy on Twitter said it perfectly. I think his name is Screwface Gene. He was like, if you support this lawsuit in any way, you're a bitch and you're a Karen and you're not a fan of hip hop or, like I said earlier, artist expression, which I strongly agree. I mean, I do think this has always been the nature of hip hop, just that raw, gritty rap. And like, sometimes there's fun songs and things like that. But like, for this to now make people want to censor shit is just weird. And I'm happy Pusha T stood up, but I'm not happy with the way things are looking so far. And if this was to be a W in the court of law, it will absolutely ruin rap. Absolutely. And if you're someone that agrees with that, I don't know if you're truly a fan of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? I feel like Drake did this because his feelings got hurt. And he went from saying, hey, you shouldn't use rappers' lyrics against them in court when he was supporting Young Thug and all these rappers that were getting locked up because of courts and lyrics. But now he wants to turn around and say, oh, no, you should absolutely, absolutely use lyrics against people. Come on, hypocrite. All right, so that was it for the news, right? Now I'm going to talk about some songs on repeat, some songs I want to mention. Sometimes these are things that I've either recently like discovered or things that have came out recently. But as far as the first one, Burning Blue by Mariah the Scientist, that is absolutely an R&B bop. I know the ladies are loving it. Me as a lady, I love it too. And it has been on repeat. And then Whim Whammy is, one of these, people might say it's a silly TikTok song, but Lizzo actually did a fucking verse, guys, and it is fire. I didn't even know Lizzo had bars like that. And like, forgive me if I was like not paying attention. I know she's a great singer, but Lizzo rapping? Check that. Check that. Check that. I'm telling you, you're gonna be like, oh shit. This sounds hard. I'm impressed. And listen, there's some rap songs that's like, oh, I'm talking like this real shit type shit, talking like some shit that make you think. And then there's other songs that's like, this is a vibe, this is a bop, this is what that is. And give it a chance. All right. Now, third on the list, third song on repeat. This is actually a song slash artist that I recently came across. Dizzy Faye, she recently dropped Fairy Tale Lover. And the reason why I want to shout her out is because she's a queer Black woman, like myself. I believe she's from the Midwest. And she toured with Lizzo a few years ago. She actually dropped a couple mixtapes. And I believe she has a project pending. And I, figured it's only right that I mention her. You know what I'm saying? I know it's Pride Month, but I'm queer all the time. Okay. Y'all see who I am. Y'all hear how I sound. Should be no surprises, right? But just in case, you ain't know, not to let y'all know, I'm always doing the big fuzz. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, check out Burning Blue, Whim Whammy, and Dizzy Faye's song Fairy Tale Lover. If you want to do anything to show your support specifically for the month of Pride and, LGBTQ, there you go, Dizzy Faye. There's a lot of other artists that I will be mentioning down the line that you can support. You know what I'm saying? You support me, you support them, right? Unless they do something weird. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, all right, so now I am going to hop into the project reviews, y'all. So, like I said, I was really excited for this one because I really had the opportunity to listen to, my favorite genres: rap, R&B, and reggae. And this includes, like I said, 2 EPs, 1 mixtape, and 2 albums. I will be talking about Blxst, his EP. Youngn MH dropped an EP, and I feel like it's only right to follow up with the review of the EP after I did the interview 2 episodes back, right? And if you haven't checked out the interview, check that out. Episode 10, interview with Youngn MH. I'm telling y'all, it's worth it, all right? So yeah, Blxst, Youngn MH, Kai Cash, 450, and Aminé. I got to talk about them. All right. I was really impressed with what I heard from these artists. And, there are times when you're doing these reviews, at least for me, when I'm doing these reviews, and I'll choose artists or songs that I'm like, oh yeah, this should be good. Is blah 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 this person, and then I'm like, fuck, I'm disappointed. So I'm trying to be really intentional about like going out there, choosing new people that I don't listen to them all the time, and people that I do listen to, I'll sprinkle in there. But like I said, I was really excited to talk about Kai Cash because I've never listened to his music before. I ain't gonna cap. So we're gonna get into that. But before we do, let me just remind y'all of the project review criteria. So, it obviously projects can consist of EPs, mixtapes, albums, etc. Anything that got more than 2 songs, I will review. And if it's 1 or 2 songs, I'll talk about it to y'all too, whatever. Right? Ratings are based off of creativity, bars, versatility, features, impact on me, impact on many people, right? And then I take my notes for each song. I rate them 1, 2, 3 with the fire emojis. I'll be using my notes. I'll be like, bang, 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 fire. That shit was fire, right? 1 is mid, 2 is good, 3 is fire. It's a bop on replay, right? And then at the end of the album, I rate that 1 through 10 with a letter grade to coincide, A plus down to F. Anything below, I believe it's 5, will automatically be an F. All right, so first things first, I want to talk about Blxst. He dropped an EP. It's called Unreleased EP, and there are 4 songs on here. 9 minutes is actually a quick listen, and this is R&B. So if y'all looking for some R&B to listen to, Blxst dropped that Unreleased EP. And just in case you didn't know, Blxst is actually from LA. His last project was back in July of last year. He dropped I'll Always Come Find You. As far as like what I'm familiar with from him, I personally really did enjoy his song Chosen with Dollar Sign and Tyga from his project No Love Lost a few years back. I really did love the song Die Hard on Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers by Kendrick. He was featured on that song as well, which was a hit. And then he also was featured on Nas's album King's Disease 2. He was on the song Brunch on Sundays. So another song that was like a 3 out of 3 for me. So yeah, Blxst has been around doing his thing in R&B. On this EP, he's warming up for that project coming soon. He has 4 songs, like I said, and he kicks off the first song. Track 1 is called Ain't Done. And this song, actually, I came across it organically. I use Apple Music. Sometimes if I click on a song and don't have my playlist set up, it'll, play songs that are similar, whatever the case is, right? And Ain't Done was actually a song that came on. And I was like, oh shit, this voice sounds familiar. I like this song. Oh shit, it's Blxst. And I was like, let me go see what he's up to. So then I go check it. I'm like, oh, he just dropped this EP not too long ago. So let me actually check this out and see what's up, if it's worth even talking to y'all about. I already liked the first song and there's only 4 on here, so that's already a good chance of me liking the rest of it, right? So yeah, on the song he's like, pretty much he got work to do. He ain't done, and don't count him out of the race. He's still gonna do his shit. He's still gonna do what he gotta do. So I was like, okay, motivational song, and it sound good. 3 out of 3 for me. And like I said, because it led me to the listen to the rest of the project, that's what really made me give the song 2 a 3 out of 3. I'm like, this sounds good, and made me listen to the rest of the album. That's already a good sign. So now we move on to track 2. It's called Ayo. And on here, it's kind of like an Afro pop R&B kind of vibe. I feel like that was what it was given based off of the beat. And on here, he's like, how, this girl is acting different. She's holding back. And, he's asking her, like, to not take it personal because he's still learning, I guess, how to operate, within, I guess, those serious settings as far as like, is it approaching a relationship? I don't know. But, you're moving kind of funny. Uh, like I said, because of the beat, it was given that Afro kind of pop R&B vibe. I was like, ooh, I like this. It got me hooked in really quickly. And I was like, at first I was like, is this a 2 or 3? And I was like, 2.5, and ended up saying it's a 3 out of 3. Yeah, I was like, you know what? I'm not mad at it. I like it. And actually, like I said, I like to listen to any project multiple times. This was one, it was very easy to repeat because there's 4 songs on there. So I played it a few times. I'm like, yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. So yeah, 3 out of 3 for Ayo. Now, move on to track 3 is called Issue. So on here, he's like, yo, don't be surprised if he finally decides to press the issue. You know what I'm saying? Like, why you moving like that? Like, I gotta assess the situation. This song, this is, it was a good song, so I gave this one a 2 out of 3. It's not that it wasn't worth being listened to again. It was just one of the songs that weren't as like appealing at first as the other ones. But after I listened to it again, I was like, it's not a 1 out of 3. I don't think it's a mid song. I think it's good. I don't think it's a mid song. I think it's good. So now we hop into the last track on this EP. Like I said, it was a quick one. That's why I had to give y'all some good stuff to talk about, right? So the track 4 is called Pop. And on here, he's like, yo, he's telling Shorty, like, yo, pop your shit, you deserve it. That girl, she be serving them looks, she be looking good. She's been bragging about having a new man, which is him. And on this song, it's kind of like he's on some sing rap vibes. And on the beat, there's like this whistle note, which I really did enjoy that. And one of the funny bars on here was like, he knows trouble's coming when he sees her in that duffel bag. She finna spend the night and act up, right? So this song, it was a 3 out of 3. Overall, the EP was a nice preview of what's to come with his upcoming project. And I feel like Blxst, he makes songs for the ladies. You know what I'm saying? Has a pretty nice voice. He creates a good vibe on the track. And, since it's an EP, I'm hoping to hear more songs like Ain't, Done, and Chosen. I don't mind him experimenting with the sing rap, which, was pretty good on Pop. But I want him to show more of those singing strengths. You know what I'm saying? Like, because he is repping the R&B category. Like, I don't know if he's the type to like belt out some lyrics, like maybe less effects on the voice and just like truly like let's hear him sing type shit. And like I said, give more songs like Ain't Done and Chosen. I think those were my top songs on there, right? Well, Ain't Done was one of my top songs, and Chosen is more of his throwback vibes. But and then also, he didn't have any features on this EP, which is fine. It was just 4 tracks, but I would love to potentially hear some features on the album once it comes out. Maybe like Kaylani would sound good. They both from the West Coast, or even Leon Thomas. I feel like him and Blxst will make a great song together. Maybe there's a rapper. Maybe he can have Nas do him a solid, or Kendrick do him a solid, and come back on his project. But like I said, overall, it was a good EP to listen to. Since there weren't features on here, there's no best feature. Keep it songs. Everything was meant to be on this EP. I think it was a great playlist. And then the best song, I mentioned it before, is Ain't Done. That's what prompted me to listen to the album. I think the EP, after listening to it a couple times, I was like, yeah, this is it. So my top three. So my top 3 would be Ain't Done, Pop, and Ayo. Now, with that being said, my ratings for this was an 8.5 to 9 out of 10. I was like bouncing back and forth between that. I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. I feel like it's an 8.5 out of 10. And yeah, I mean, if you round it up 9, I'll give it an A minus. But yeah, Blxst did a great job. Love the EP. Keep it up. Drop some more. Drop the album within this year. Don't make us wait too long. Now I'm going to unpack that EP that we've all been anticipating. I've been hyping it up to y'all. Y'all been fucking with it. The interview, y'all showed love on there. So, like I said, it was only right that I spoke about Youngn MH's fucking EP, Everything for Spliff. Youngn dropped this 6-pack EP. It's 14 minutes. This is another quick listen. If you want somebody outside of your typical lineup of rappers, listen to Youngn. He's doing it. He's doing it big for New York. And I do think it's time that we expand our ears to other people, right? So before I hop into the EP, If y'all were watching my Instagram story, you might have seen I had the chance to go join a studio session with Youngn. And honestly, it was really great to get the behind the scenes content and like really just witness it. I was just soaking it all in. And, he was working with his producer Otto, and Otto has actually worked on a few big things himself, check him out. But these two in the fucking booth, they was going crazy. Like, it was great to see that they were also in sync. I think it's important to work with someone that knows your style and knows how to be quick and work with you, right? So, when you're laying down the bars, there may be times that you gotta like, all right, you might want to run it back and everything. And I felt like it was very seamless whenever they had to like, oh, you know what, run that back for me. Like he even say all those words, you know what I'm saying? Like they are a duo that, you know what I'm saying, that you shouldn't fuck with them. You know what I'm saying? Like they was cooking up for real. And actually Otto actually did produce one of the tracks on this EP 3500, which I'll get into. But yeah, it was a cool vibe, and like I said, they was really efficient. You know, that's another thing too. These rappers, they go to the studio and they be fucking around. Youngin not fucking around. Him, Otto, they got in there and they literally worked on 3 to 4 songs. And like some songs were already like made, they were just adding some touches to it. But there was one point where I stepped out the room for a moment and I came back and I was like, you just laid you just laid another track down? Oh, okay, you're not fucking around. Got it. So like I said, I feel like it's important to have someone that you got that strong dynamic with. And it was cool to like, on my perspective, I was just hearing like I would hear the beat out loud and then I would hear, Young record the verses and I'm like trying to like match the verse to the beat, according to how I could remember it because it wasn't being played out loud the entire time, right? And then once we would hear the finished product with the bars laid on there, they would play it out loud on the big speaker. I'm like, oh, that's what you was cooking up over there. Okay, okay, okay. So, you know, he did reveal that the album will follow up the EP. So some of those tracks I heard in there, y'all in for a treat, all right? And y'all definitely in for a treat if y'all check out this EP. Now, let's just hop into it. Like I said, 6 tracks on here. First track, Back in America. That was actually previewed before this EP dropped with the freestyle that I posted. You might have seen that from the phone booth. Now, this track, once I heard it and I saw the freestyle, the phone booth video, I was like, yeah, we got one. Like I really did fuck with this song. It was already like a 3 out of 3 for me. So I was like, okay, right now I know this is my top song. So I gotta see how the rest of these songs is coming right now, you know what I'm saying? But just to give y'all a little some of the song, on here, Young is like, how he's been moving around, he's been international with it, and he's telling Shorty like, hey, I'm back in America, you know what I'm saying? The Bank of America. And pretty much, yo, if you don't catch me while I'm out here, if you act up while I'm out here, you won't have to see me a month later. Like that was one of the bars he pretty much said on there. But like that track, like I said, it was a 3 out of 3, one of the leading songs from this EP, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. Now we move on to track 2. Track 2 is when he hops in his features bag. Hurricane Wisdom joins him. Hurricane Wisdom is from Florida. Be on his singing vibes, you know what I'm saying? Throw a little rap in there. But Hurricane Wisdom hopped on this track, and I really did like this song. Like I said, it's called Goals with the money sign at the end. And the beat kind of reminded me of like Mariah Carey singing a high note. Like there's just some point when you guys listen to it, you'll probably hear it. But on this song, he's like, Young is like, I know how it feel when you get that bread and that bread gone. Like, just know how it feels to go through real life shit. Like, you working hard, you grinding, you trying to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and like going through those different phases, like, of going from not having it to making it. And on the song, he's like, I remember when you used to call, but not anymore. It's like, damn, you done with me too. But, on here, Young does display some vocals. So he got some vocals too. And I think he made it very clear in the interview that he's not just a drill rapper. And he showed that here and throughout this EP as well, like just trying to give different vibes, not just one drill kind of cadence, you know what I'm saying? And what's great to know about this song, Goals, Spotify picked the song up and it's actually getting playlisted. So, you know what I'm saying? That's a huge accomplishment. And I think this song is going to be like the leading single out of this EP. One, because of that fire ass collab on there, and just like it touches you, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It's a 3 out of 3 with that. Now we hop into some dance vibes with track 3, Collide. This one I really did like a lot too. So far it's been 3 out of 3s. This one, I ain't gonna lie. Once I heard the beat, I'm like, okay, okay. I don't really know how to do these TikTok dances, but it was giving like Jersey club drill, New York, getting light tight on the beat. You know, all these sounds be fused together now, but I feel like a lot of TikTok dancers would love this. And it's a nice feel good song. I feel like it was perfect for the summer leading up. People want the shit that makes them move, right? And this I really like because he experimented with this. It was something that I didn't really expect from him. I'm like, okay, okay, you got that too up your sleeve, bet. 3 out of 3. So now we hop into track 4, Impatient. This was actually a song that was already dropped back last year that I actually got the chance to speak to Youngn about in the interview. And this kind of set the tone for the EP. You know what I'm saying? He's been impatient. He's been grinding. He's been doing what he had to do. Now it's his time to make it. You know what I'm saying? Like, no time to waste type shit. You know what I'm saying? Time is money. You know what I'm saying? So this was a 3 out of 3. The single leading off the EP was already hitting. So it was just like, bro, when you gonna drop the project for real? You got this Impatient out. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that was 3 out of 3. Now we got 2 more songs to go through. Cartel, track 5 on here. Now this one is like, yo, I'm with the gang, I'm with the cartel, you know what I'm saying? Like not too much on that. You know what I'm saying? The name keep buzzing like a doorbell type shit. They doing big activities, large scale activities, big montings, you know what I'm saying? Like ain't no small movements over here. Not too much on that. Like I said, this track here, this was another, honestly, I was debating between 2 or 3. I heard it a couple times. I'm like, all right, this is that. You know, I'm with the homies type shit. We moving, we grooving, we doing our shit type shit. 3 out of 3. Now we hop into track 6, 3500. This one, another track where Young shows his range. He delivers some vocals. You do hear some 808s on the beat, and it was on some rap sing vibes. 3500, that gets you a verse, come make a deposit type shit. So yo, if y'all need that, go get it before the price goes up, which is going up real soon. It's probably done went up since that song was dropped. You know what I'm saying? But this was produced by Otto, and another great track here. I like do think the EP was well composed and well put together with the different songs. This song was a 2 out of 3. Great song. I think I'll come back to it. It might end up being a 3 out of 3 for me. But with that being said, like I said, EP, I really like what's going on here. I was really impressed with the songs, and you know, just to hear about what it was like leading up to this project, I think that added that, you know, that nice touch to it. And you know what I'm saying, like being able to see the behind the scenes too. I'm like, okay, this is how you come up with this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like this is really fucking cool. And not being biased, you know what I'm saying? I really genuinely did enjoy these songs on here and have been replaying them. So as far as the best feature on here, the Goals Hurricane Wisdom song, that was the only one, but a really great example of what's to come. I think if he continues to choose people like Hurricane Wisdom and other rappers to give that vibe, the album is gonna fucking be amazing, right? Now, as far as keep it songs, nothing. I think every song needed to be on there to curate a playlist. And I think he was very intentional with trying to show, hey, I could sing rap, I could give you dance, I could give you, yo, this is my struggle, what I'm going through. I could give you, yo, I'm flexing type shit. That was that. So now the best song, I still think is Back in America for me. I did have a tough time going between, like, I'm like, should I give it to another track? But I ended up with Back in America. Now, as far as my top 3, it'll be Back in America, Goals, and then Collide. Honorable mention though, for sure, Impatient. It was a hard choice, like I said. Back in America, and this and Impatient were my top two before I heard the rest of the project. But it shuffled around after hearing it a few times. I'm like, all right, damn, I do like these other songs. But like I said, honorable mention before, hey, if we did a top four, it'll be there at number four. But as far as the ratings, I give this 9 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10, I should say. And it's an A. And I think if these vibes continue and we get like a couple more features on here that, like I said, that Hurricane Wisdom, very smart choice, things like that, that's really going to help the album like take the fuck off. So it's an A for me. Now, y'all, so I just did the two EPs. Now I'm gonna hop into this mixtape from Kai Cash. I had to review Kai Cash's mixtape after his performance during the battle with, Joey versus the West. I feel like he held Joey down real quick, you know what I'm saying? Give him his credit. Nixon 6 didn't happen for real, but at least we got a good track from Kai Cash. Now, like I said, Kai Cash dropped this mixtape. It actually dropped in April, and once I heard the song and I started to go through like, the music he's made and his profile and shit, I was like, oh shit. Let me run through this 10 minutes, 24 minutes, not bad. Let me tap into what else he has to say because he's doing it big for New York and that's important. You know what I'm saying? Like to hop into the tracks on here, his first track on here is called My Train of Thought. And exactly that, you know what I'm saying? We're navigating through Kai's train of thought. And when you say Kai Cash, make sure you don't forget the money sign in it. All right. That's what he says. I'm going to respect it. All right. So this track off rip, fire intro song. He's really just talking his shit on here and, navigating like his thoughts. And this song here was a 3 out of 3. It's one of the songs out. It was a top song at that point. I'm like, all right, he started off strong. Okay. I'm hopeful. I think I could continue this project because, guys, there's some projects that are hard to get through. You started thinking you're gonna have a good listen, and then you're like, who the fuck needs to hear about this shit? Nobody. But this wasn't one of those moments. All right, this was a moment of like hopping into track two. I was thoroughly impressed again. Track two is called Handsome Hustler. He's talking him shit like, yo, I be doing this, doing that. I look good, I feel good type shit. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like he continued the vibes of just like, hey, I started the intro strong. I'm going to keep going strong. You know what I'm saying? So this was another track that was a 3 out of 3 for me. Now we hop into track three. It's called Mentally Unstable. With this is actually where he has some features on here. CEO, I think it's called Trey Lee and K Wales. They were on this track, and I really did like the vibe of this song because it gave like a two-part kind of song. I feel like it reminded me of something Kendrick would do, and yes, I'm obviously a fan of him, so I was like, okay, this is different. I feel like all of them on this song together, they need to do another one. I don't know if this was the first or last time they worked together, but they need to run it back. But Mentally Unstable, exactly what it says, like just talking about that. And, Kai is not shy on here. He's like, free Palestine and talking his shit and really bigging up like, the right thing, I would say. So 3 out of 3. Now we hop into another track 4 is called You See It. And on here I feel like this song was a good song, but I wasn't like feeling it as much as the first 3 tracks. I was like, okay, this is where I started to like mark it down. Like, is the vibes gonna go down? Like I said, it wasn't a bad song. It was still a good song. I still ended up giving You See It a 2 out of 3. It was just like noticeably a different like punch than the other tracks. You know what I'm saying? So now we hop into track 5. This one's called Cartier Santos featuring Tank God, another feature on the mixtape. This was another sing rap kind of vibe, and I did like this, so I gave it a 3 out of 3. And now we hop into track 6. It's called Choose featuring Luli. I hope I'm saying your name right. And this song, like I said, in the middle was getting like, okay. This is where the vibes are kind of evening out. So I feel like the next few songs I gave it a 2 out of 3. But like I said, they weren't bad songs. They were good, but it wasn't punching as hard as like the beginning of the album. So This one though, I gave it a 2 out of 3, and now we move on to track 7, Trife Life, featuring Nico Brim. Now this one I really did like the beat. The beat was on some sophisticated shit. I feel like I really did enjoy Nico's verse on here as well. So I gave this one a 2 out of 3. I did re-listen to it, but there was other songs that I was like, yeah, those are worth the 3 out of 3, and these are worth the 2 out of 3. You know what I'm saying? Now, on here we have 4 more songs. Like I said, the rest of them, they were kind of like 2 out of 3 songs, but they were good songs. And like I said, definitely worth a listen. Don't think because I'm giving it 2 out of 3 that means it's bad. That means it's a good song. You know what I'm saying? You might like it more than me. Now, track 8 is called What You Want. On here, exactly what it says. What you want. You know what I'm saying? What you want from a nigga. But this one was a 2 out of 3. And then we get into track 9. It's called Money. And then he puts the dot in between each one, so it's like money spelled out. And on here, he's like, "Yo, hit him up. He gonna get what you need. You know, money make her do this, that, and the third, all that extra shit." You know what I'm saying? Like he's talking his shit, and I feel like that was a narrative throughout this mixtape, just puffing his chest, being having that New York kind of cocky kind of swag on the track, like, yo, you ain't gonna defeat me. I'm doing this. This is how I'm moving, and like, you know, sprinkling some real shit that I've been going through, right? But this song was a 2 out of 3. And then we hop into track 10. The last track on here is called Prime. And on here, like I said, he puffed his chest and he's like, yo, he's up and he's not even in his prime yet. Like, y'all dudes better be careful. Y'all better be afraid because this kid is making noise. Not kid, but this rapper is making noise, and he's not even at the top of where he need to be. So imagine if this dude continues to rap like this, where he'll be in even a year from now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I did see a lot of the internet's reaction to Kai's verse. I mean, Kai's, you know, song Next in Six, and people were similar to me, like, yo, I didn't know about you before, but now I'm paying attention, and that's how I feel too. And I feel like if he continues to do this now, right now he's on tour, so this dude was responding while he's on tour. But if he comes out and continues that energy and continues to feed people good music like what he did on this EP, you gonna go far, kid. You gonna go far. You know what I'm saying? You gonna go far. Now, as far as the best feature on here, I really did enjoy mentally unstable featuring CEO and K Wales. As far as keep it songs, honestly, even though towards the latter part of the album, I feel like half of it was like 3 out of 3s, the other half was 2 out of 3s. I still do think all of the songs were meant to be there. I wasn't mad at it. Now, the best song is also the best feature, which was the Mentally Unstable song. Now, my top 3 will be the Mentally Unstable song, Handsome Hustler, which he talked his shit in, My Train of Thought, and then I would say an honorable mention is the Cartier Santos song featuring Thank God. I did like this. I did like the sing rap vibes. And honestly, overall, this was a solid mixtape. I gave it a 8 out of 10. It's a B plus for me. Kai Cash, you doing that shit. Keep doing it. Honestly, I'm not mad at it. I was really happy to see somebody just challenge these dudes out in the West and speak up for New York, especially after Daylight was talking shit to all the boroughs. You know what I'm saying? Using the New York swag. Like, damn, somebody had to get him outside. I need y'all to jump him lyrically. You know what I'm saying? And you jumped in, you threw a couple jabs. So good for you. But yeah, I do think y'all should check him out. Check out that mixtape. Check out his work. And don't be shy to check out people that aren't mainstream, honestly. Now, I'm gonna hop into one of my other favorite genres, dancehall reggae. And for those of you that aren't too familiar with it, that is okay. Cause I will do my best to like talk you through the songs just in case you do want to go and check out something new, have a different vibe. 450, I've talked about him before. He was a feature on Davido's album. He's dropped songs himself that I've mentioned that I had on repeat. But you know, this Pieces of Me is his debut album, and it was highly anticipated because since he's been active since like 2019, he's been dropping great music, but he hasn't had an album yet. So he did that with this one. Now, like I said, it's called Pieces of Me, 16 songs, right under an hour. It's like a 49-minute listen. And across this album, 450 does collab with Weekday a lot. Weekday is one of his go-to producers, which whenever they link up, it's a guaranteed bop in my opinion. And I do think, you know what I'm saying? He need to keep him on the roster for sure. Now, his two leading singles from his album, the first one, No Patience, that one came out a little more recently. I mentioned that earlier the year. And then Wild and Rich was another leading single. This one came out last year, I believe. Yeah. And it's been on repeat for me since it's dropped. I mean, these are songs I'm tired. I'm talking like they're carrying over into like another month of me listening it. You know what I'm saying? So that's important. But, he's had reggae music on lock, you know what I'm saying? And he's like young talent, and he typically does music for the ladies, you know what I'm saying? Gal tune, you know what I'm saying? You might hear me say that a couple times, but yeah, that's been his vibe. And I was really curious to see like how he holds up with a big body of work, an album. So with these 16 songs, I'm gonna tap into them and let y'all know what I think about them. And like I said, if you haven't listened to the genre before, it's okay. I'm gonna take y'all through the songs, and hopefully you find something that you fuck with, depending on what the song's about. But yeah, let me hop into it. All right, so the first track on here is called Pieces of Me. And I have to tell y'all, man, I listened to this album at least 4 times, and it came out 3 days ago. Yeah, it came out on Friday. It's now Monday that I'm recording it. So if you count, yeah, pretty much 3 days ago. And I've listened to it every day since then. And there's songs on here that I gave a 2 out of 3. But then some of them, even as I'm looking at them now, I'm like, damn, that might be worth a 3 out of 3, a perfect score, because I heard it again and I like it. But Pieces of Me, nonetheless, let me get into it. This is like some singing slow vibes, and it's giving intro song vibes as far as like, I feel like he was like on here like praying for protection, and on here he's like, yo, they're taking pieces of me. Everyone wants to leech onto his strength and just take, and he's just asking, God and who he believes in to keep him from the hatred and envy and protect him, you know what I'm saying, as he's navigating this world of having riches and making it out, and not wanting to be depleted. You know what I'm saying? People will take until you are no more. All right. This song I gave it a 2 out of 3, but as it's as I've been listening to it over, I'm leaning towards 3. But as it stands right now, it's 2 out of 3. Now we move on to track 2. It's called Prayer. On here, I think it's very obvious. He's pretty much like praying to God. He continues with the intro song vibes, and he's like, praying like, yo, it's a blessing to be alive, and like God hasn't failed him yet. And he's on the song singing pretty much like, yo, give thanks because nothing beats prayer. And just so y'all know, like, I think too, there's a misconception that dancehall reggae is typically like just about like being vulgar, winding up, and or like, bad man music, like how they categorize rap as always being about like gun violence, and it's not always about gun violence. That's kind of how people look at dancehall. Oh, it's always either about like being vulgar or like violence, which is not true. Here's a perfect example of that. There's a lot of meaningful songs that touch on like faith, pain, the feats we fight. You know what I'm saying? And 450 is an artist that does that well. And Popcorn, one of my favorite dancehall artists, he also has some songs too where it's not just like, yo, that girl look nice, you know what I'm saying? So um on here, like I said, it's just touching on that. And 450 had reposted this person talking about how the song came at the right time because they had recently lost their grandma. And I was like, oh, that's so sweet and endearing. So when I finally listened to the song, I was like, yeah, this is a touching song. So I gave it a 3 out of 3. Honestly, I felt that. I like it. You know what I'm saying? It's different. So yeah, now we hop into track 3 called Anomaly. This one right here, this is well, I'm gonna say, I told you I'm gonna say it a couple times. It's like Yao Chun. That means like it's for the ladies. I'm gonna say it like that too. It's for the ladies, right? This one is where he starts to pick up the pace a bit. You know what I'm saying? And on here, he's talking his shit. He's like, yo, if you know what he knows, you wouldn't be fucking that girl. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't be calling that girl your own. You wouldn't be calling that girl your girlfriend, because if you look through her phone, you gonna see me and her doing some shit that's crazy. And I'm like, damn, 450, you moving like that? So he's pretty much telling the dude, you dealing with a waste gal. You dealing with a girl that's a waste of time. Dealing with a girl that's just toxic. You know what I'm saying? Like, this song, I really fuck with the vibe. It was a 3 out of 3. And then we hop into track 4. Now, track 4 and 5 is a series. These two songs go together because it's called Cold Streets 1, Cold Streets Part 1, and Cold Streets Part 2. Now, I really did love the storytelling between these two tracks, and I'll kind of just talk about these two together because at the end they ended up getting the same score, right? Track 4 and 5, Cold Streets 1, Part 1 and Part 2, right? So on here, in part 1, he begins the story. This is when the storytelling comes in, and I was like, damn, I didn't even know this nigga get on like that. But on track 1, he's like, on part 1, I should say, of Cold Streets, he's like, everyone wants to live until they're 100. You'll be lucky if you live past 20 in this world. You know, it's a wicked world. And he was speaking on the moments of like living a street life, and how, you know, he doesn't want to fight fire and fire, but he has to protect his life. And if you say the wrong word, somebody will make you leak. You know what I'm saying? And then towards the latter part of the song, he starts to talk about Ricky, and telling a tale about this man named Ricky. Ricky had a friend named James, and you know, Ricky has something to prove. You know what I'm saying? He felt like he had something to prove, so he got a gun, and he was feeling nervous, but he was like, no, I need to do this. You know what I'm saying? But Ricky's friends, they was like trying to warn him, like, you don't need to do any of this. You not about that life. It's okay. Ricky ends up getting shot, and then when everyone thought he was dead, his eyes opened back up. So that's pretty much how he ended the track, you know, talking through like living that life. And here's the story about Ricky and him going through like, to do it, to not, you know, you shouldn't do it, and ends up getting pal, but he makes it, right? So then we come into Cold Streets Part 2, right? So now we're talking about how, you know, Ricky got a chance to change his life. He got a chance after that moment to get out the hood. But his friend, on the other hand, James, he's struggling, you know what I'm saying? And Ricky is like, yo, I'm leaving Jamaica. I'm going to the States. I'm going to the US. And I promise I'm going to help you get out the hood. You know what I'm saying? So James is like, oh, okay, bet, you know, that's lit. But he couldn't wait that long for his friends' empty promises, basically, because that's what they were. You know, Ricky moved on to live his life in the States, and back home, James is going through dark days. He has a baby on the way, and James is like, yo, how can I support my family that I have? So he starts robbing people. When Ricky's trying to advise him to like, yo, don't stoop to those levels, and everyone's trying to tell him, he's like, how can you tell him that crimes don't pay? You know, he's literally getting money from these crimes. Nobody else is helping him for real. So, you know, when Ricky finally decides to fly back home from the States and goes to visit his people, he realized, yo, like shit is not what it was. Like, I know we was bad before, but nah, you down bad for real. So, you know, once they link up back in the towns, James is like, yo, I need you to give me money because I need to get a piece, I need to get a new weapon, or whatever the case is. And, you know, he was like, you are not getting in, I'm not supporting that, I'm not condoning that. And what happens is, because he said no, James ends up setting up Ricky, y'all. He ends up setting him up, and because Ricky didn't have shit out there to defend himself, he gets fucked over. But then 450's like, but hold on, y'all, there's two sides to the story. I'm like, okay, whole time I've been like, damn, James just been moving like this, and I know times is hard, but damn, dude, he like, bro, remember James' girl is pregnant. So as we're at the point of the story where James is confronting Ricky, we come to find out that Ricky had fucked on James' girl. And Ricky is actually the true father of James's baby. Well, now Ricky's baby, right? So that's why James was so set on like fucking him over, because it's like, damn, you gonna set him up because he said no, he ain't gonna get you a gun. No, you set him up because he got your girl pregnant. So Ricky ends up fucking. Ricky did end up fucking over James, but James ends up, getting his revenge, shoots him. When Ricky wakes up in the hospital, he's like, yo, I have to get this dude back. How dare he violate me? And he's like fixated on revenge. And then the doctors is like, yo, we got some bad news to tell you. And then he's like, what? They're like, you alive, but you're paralyzed. And he's like, that's how it ends. It's like, what? Oh my God. Like, and mind you, I just told y'all a whole story. This is a whole story from 2 songs. And I was really impressed. I was like I said, I didn't even know 450 was like a storytelling type of dude. I gave both these songs a 3 out of 3, but I had to tell it to y'all like that because it's truly a story. And I would say, if you're like, okay, I wanna maybe get into dancehall and like hear something that's not necessarily like the vulgar side of it, check this out: Cold Streets Part 1 and Part 2. You know, see if you can follow along. I gave y'all the summary pretty much, and y'all could take that and go listen to the track. Now I hop into track 6 called Don't Give Up. On here, he's like, talking to a girl, like, don't shatter his heart, don't give up on him. It's pretty much like a love song, and he's like pleading for her love and how he needs her, she needs him, and he feels like because she's been moving funny, somebody else must have her attention. And this song, I feel like the album started off really strong. This song, I did hear it over and I was like, okay, maybe it deserves a higher grade, but I'm not gonna lie. First, I gave it a 1 out of 3. It was an okay song. It was mid to me, but I, like I said, some of these songs, you hear them again, I'm like, actually, it's not that bad. There are songs that do grow on you, and I'm not shy to say that. You know what I'm saying? But for now, it stands. It was one of the weaker songs on the album. Now we're getting into the later part of the album, right? So now we hop into track 7, right? This one, y'all, is called Drunk You Fuck. Drunk as fuck, pretty much. But they say drunk YF, drunk you fuck. On here, he's like, yo, pretty much the title, drunk vibes. He don't want to be sober. He might lose his composure because the girls is moving careless. Dudes in his hood is moving feisty, like they moving weird. They moving like ops type shit. You know what I'm saying? This song, I gave it a 2 out of 3, but no lie, after hearing it a couple times, I'm like, I'm not gonna lie, it might be a 3 out of 3. But I'm gonna leave it there for now. And like I said, these songs, I was still impressed with them, even with the rankings, because I was like, okay, like I'm listening to it again, I like it, like, you know what I'm saying? So now I hop into track 8. It's called Naku Pena. This is Swahili for I love you, and 450 is Jamaican, but I think he wants to give a different vibe here, right? So on here, he's like how he only got eyes for his woman, and if love is blind, he'll follow her regardless. And like I said, it's a love song. You know what I'm saying? He has love for his lady forever. And on the chorus, he's singing the knock you pen Nakupenda. Yeah. He's singing that, and it was a different vibe from him, but I thought it was a cute song. I gave it a 2 out of 3. Not mad at it. Now, though, we hop in track 9. This is when No Patience is added into the playlist. No Patience is a song, like I said, it came out a few months ago, and this is another leading single for the album. This was already a 3 out of 3. This was produced by Weekday, and this song, just to recap, he's like, that girl is too pretty to link with a dude that's gonna waste her time. Like, this was already on repeat. It's like, yeah, tune is a song for the ladies. he's like telling the girl like, hey, give it up. Give it up to me. They'll make me wait too long, blah, blah, blah. And how she got everything she needs and he got everything she needs and vice versa, and that she deserves better, and that better is what he can provide. This song was a 3 out of 3. It was a nice tune. So now we hop into track 10. It's called Tonight. Another one for the ladies. This was on some slower vibes, giving like the slow wine vibes, you know what I'm saying? Kind of rated R. I'm not kinda. It is rated R. Now, he's pretty much on here. The song's called Tonight. He's like, me and that girl, we getting it on tonight type shit, and it's about to be the best of her life. You know what I'm saying? She's about to get the best of the best. This song, and without saying too much, 3 out of 3 for me. Now, on track 11, it's called Waterfall. This I really liked. There was a Neo sample on here. I believe they sampled So Sick. And if y'all don't know, Jamaicans love that So Sick song by Neo. Vibes Cartel. So many people have sampled it. I mean, they make rhythms and they take like the freaking songs that they want to sample, make their own vibe, call it a rhythm, and multiple artists will hop on it. You know what I'm saying? So this I did like, and on here, 450 and the producer did create their own vibe. You can hear the sample, but you can also hear that they definitely tried to make it their own. And on here, he's like, the girl is wet like waterfall. And like I said, it's another for the ladies, slightly rated R. 2 out of 3. Honestly, it may go into 3 out of 3. The way I've been replaying that one in particular as well. All right, so now we're hopping into track 12. This one's called Destiny. And on here, this is actually a song that automatically went up to a 3 after I listened to it again. Like I said, I listened to this album. It was 4 times because I wrote it in my notes here. Fourth time listening. But on here, he's like, yo, this girl is destined to be his wifey. She's meant for him. It's another for the ladies type of song. And that's really the vibes 450 is going to give. He's going to give songs for the ladies. You know what I'm saying? He's not shy to tap into that market because they're who love him. And the dudes do because they get songs for their women, right? So on here, he's like, he's shooting his shot like a sniper type shit. And 3 out of 3 with this track here. So now I hop into Portrait. Now, when I heard this, I was excited because Stefflon Don is a feature on here. And last time I was hearing about Stefflon Don not too long ago, her and Jada Kingdom, which is another dancehall artist, they were having a feud, y'all. And when I say feud, they were like battling back and forth with diss tracks at each other. And Jada Kingdom did cook Steph, no lie. I mean, Steph was doing her thing. I feel like Jada got the last good one in. I feel like Jada really did get the last good track in. But whatever. Still a great artist. Both of them are. And I just love the energy that they gave to each other during that battle. They was like, I'm not backing down. I'm gonna give a fuck. I'm dropping the same day as you. Go ahead. So if y'all want an interesting battle to check out that one. Now, anyways, as far as the song Portrait with Stefflon Don, he they're on the song, like they're singing back and forth. They're like, yo, come pick, come pick me, like, you know what I'm saying, type shit. Like, just like she said, like a portrait type shit. I'm trying to make these moves with you, like another. Can't say too much, you know what I'm saying? But it was a nice for the ladies song, you know what I'm saying? Like, now, this song was 3 out of 3. And then we hop into Wild and Rich, which was track 14. So he put that in right after the Portrait song with Stefflon Don. And like I said, Weekday is a producer that shows up a few times. This is another song. This was the song that was like, yo, these two together, they got it. They got one. This one been a bop. I already had this song on replay, so it's no surprises here that it's a 3 out of 3. But on here, he's like, yo, he's wild, he's living his rich life. If things don't work out with this girl's new man, she better not call him because she done upped and left him for that dude, right? All right, don't front on him, but make sure you remember to stay where you at type shit. 3 out of 3. So now we hop into the last two tracks on this album. Track 15 is called Depressed, and trigger warning for this song, it is on the sad side for sure. And on here, he does talk about like feeling, dark thoughts, suicidal, and like because of the pressure, how he feels like he'll be better off dead and everyone else will be better. It was really a sad song, like I said, trigger warning, but it did hit hard. I was like, okay, okay, I'm okay, y'all. I'm okay. But the song was good. I was like, he was also like talking about the thoughts running through his head, like what if he fails and doesn't make it, all that good stuff. And this song, I feel like he was being very vulnerable and it was a different side of him. So I gave it a 3 out of 3. So now we ended with track 16 called Chant. It was a decent outro song, but I feel like it was a little underwhelming for the outro song compared to the rest of the album. I feel like, you know, there was affirmations on here chanted, but it was a little boring compared to the rest of the album. So I gave it a 1 out of 3. But when I close this review, I just want to say this album overall, Pieces of Me, was a fucking vibe. Timing was perfect right before summer. He gave us some dancing vibes. He gave us some songs that's for the ladies, you know what I'm saying? He gave us some songs that you could feel good and want to dance to. It's worth the replay, and they can let this album repeat for me. You know what I'm saying? Y'all could just let the album run. If we pop out to the event, put the album on, let it run. We gonna have a good time with that one. There's some songs on here, like I said, they have a 2 out of 3. They might develop into a 3 out of 3, and that was happening in real time as I was reviewing them. Right now, 450 is actually the top number one album on Apple Music Reggae in the U.S. and other countries, which is a awesome achievement. He's already doing it big. I might have to see him on tour just, with how I've been playing this. I'm like, yeah, I need to hear that live. But as far as like the best feature on here, I do think he could have had maybe 2 or more features on here. It was 16 tracks total, but I'm not gonna lie, him and Stefflon Don did his thing, and he carried his own album, so he did really well. I would have liked to see like maybe Shensia on here, maybe another artist, maybe even Vibes. I don't know, somebody, but I still was satisfied with this album. Stefflon Don and him did a great job on the Portrait song. So, yay, maybe they link up again. That'll be great. Keep It songs, I don't have none. Although there are songs on here there's only 2 songs on here that I gave a 1 out of 3. Just double checking. Yeah, only 2 songs. So, with that being said, hey, honestly, there's nothing on here that will tell him to keep release it all. They need to be on here. But the best song, this was hard, but I'm not gonna lie. Although I did have songs that I really did love before this album, because it was a different side of him that at least I heard for the first time. I have to say the Cold Street series back to back, part 1 and part 2, but I say part 2 first because I really did like that version a little bit more than part 1. Best song right there. Now the top 5, I put Cold Street's part 2 slash part 1 as the number 1 spot. Then Wild and Rich, which came out before, and No Patience. Those deserve to be in the top 3, right? And then yeah, for this I had to give a top 5. I couldn't only say 3. Come on. Now, the other 2 songs, Tonight and then the Portrait song with Stefflon Don. And an honorable mention, the Anomaly song. That shit was fucking hard. I gave this album a 9.5 out of 10. It's almost a perfect score. It's an A for me. Solid ass debut album. I mean, after listening to Ding Dong's album and reviewing it last episode, I was kind of nervous. I was like, yo, these people that you be liking they songs, the singles, when they drop these albums, they be scaring you off. But Ding Dong, still respect him. I still think he is figuring out his sound right now with this new school era, and it was good. But back to 450, amazing album. I'm gonna repeat it. I want to see him perform these songs live, and I cannot wait to hear more music from him. Love this fucking album, and it's definitely going to be something that I will mention to y'all as an unrepeat, kind of thing. So now I'm going to wrap up the project review section with one more album for y'all. Aminé, he's back. He dropped 13 Months of Sunshine. This was a 16 song album, 48 minutes. So if you're not familiar with Aminé, West Coast rapper from Portland. And honestly, I've always loved Aminé's music. I really did enjoy his first project, Good For You, back in 2017. The Caroline song was a huge hit, but also his Heebie Jeebie songs with Kehlani. And then I did love his follow up project called 1.5 from 2018. He had a song called Reel It In, that was another bop. And he did a song with Gunna called Hiccup. So this is all just to say to y'all, I've always been a fan of his sound and loved his music and always seeked his music as well. Now, I will say his last project that he did with K Tronada was called K Chamine, or K Chamine. K Chamine would be better to say. Um, it was not that appealing to me. This had came out 2023, and I did review it on my previous podcast, but I gave it a C. I gave it a C, um, because I feel like it didn't really have much replay value to me, and I feel like I wasn't really hearing Aminé where I needed to hear him. I feel like it was like K Tronada sounds with Aminé, but not a merge of them two. If y'all listen to it, maybe you might see what I'm saying. Maybe you might feel differently, but whatever. As far as this project, we're gonna hop into it. The 16 songs, right? So the first track on here is called New Flower with Leon Thomas. I was like, oh shit, I mean they got a Leon Thomas feature on here. I feel like I already know this is gonna be a good one, right? Strong ass intro. It reminded me that despite my disappointment with the last project, I can't sleep on him. I can't. Now, Aminé is someone that loves to use house music type of beats. So yes, this had a house music kind of beat. And on this track here, Aminé speaks about his experience working in New York and how he's working for Complex and Def Jam and not making shit. And now he's a whole new flower growing, and before Leon even came on the track, which he does towards the end of the song, he has a small role. I was thoroughly impressed with the song, so I had gave it a 3 out of 3. Now, Leon did add a nice touch, but like I said, very small role within the song. Aminé shined here and shined well. Now we hop on the track 2. It's called Feel So Good. So on here, Aminé is not shy about his love for drugs and how, when he takes the drugs feel so good. He's like how he's been high for 13 months. He likes being lit and that he won't quit. The chorus on here is pretty fire. And, on here, he's like, he can't kick the blunts, the hoes, the pills. And there are a few points where I believe it's his dad, he has a few talking roles on different songs throughout this album. So I thought it was really cool too that he looped in the family, you know what I'm saying? And he was very proud about his family too. And some of the songs he actually mentioned, just like, you know, being proud about that. Now, this song was a 3 out of 3, and then we hop into track 3. It's called Sage Time. This one had a funky kind of beat. It's still continuing that dance vibe, and the first line had like a little pause moment. It was giving like he was talking about like post nut clarity, and I'm like, okay, whatever. But Aminé, he's like this fun guy. He's not awkward, and he loves to experiment with his sounds. And on this song, Sage Time, is really about like, hey, it's time to cleanse myself after that experiment. I really did enjoy the beat more than the contents of the lyrics, though. I feel like the beat was a 3 out of 3, but I ended up giving the song overall a 2 out of 3 here. So now we hop into track 4. It's called I Think It's You. And the transition into the song was fire. It is more on a sad type of vibe. And on here he's like his problems has been getting to him, and while he reflects on his losses, he knows his feelings can be the issue, but his conscience tells him it's the girl, it's not him. You know what I'm saying? But he knows he's not perfect and that he's no angel, but he just rolls up a spliff and prays about it. That's what he does. I gave this song a 2 out of 3 here. And then we hop into track 5. It's called Cool About It, featuring Lido. Now, another house type beat, and on here he's like he's obsessed with this person, but he knows he has to keep it cool, but he fell in love so suddenly. Like, how do you keep it cool? This was like on his love vibes, and Lido's on the chorus here. I gave this a 2 out of 3. It was a cool song. It was a cool, fun, like quirky song. Track 6 is called History, featuring Wachahachi. I think that's how you say the name. Forgive me if I'm butchering it. But on History, he's like, yo, me and this girl, there's history every time we touch these sheets. And this was more on that singing type of vibe as well. He gets emotional when he thinks of her, and like, the advice from his friends and all these silly little self-help books, they aren't helping him navigate his feelings. And him and the girl, they thought they loved each other, but now they're both feeling lonely and confused. And this song, it actually made me like it made me feel like Rihanna should be on it, y'all. I don't know. It was giving me like, sounds like a Rihanna vibe. Wishful thinking, of course. Maybe she hops on a remix. Maybe, send her this clip, y'all. Maybe she hop on it, but I don't know. I did like it for her. I gave it a 2 out of 3. So now, track 7 is called Vacay. This is some fun vibes on here. Exactly what the title says. He's like, I'm OOO for the week, dummy. This is some vacation vibe. And on the chorus, he's talking like, I want to go vacay. And, Aminé always does good at curating a feel good vibe on here. He's like, her makeup took too long, and we missed the resi, but fuck it, we ate each other that night. I was like, oh shit. But this song was a 3 out of 3. And now we start to enter into the middle part of the album, right? So as we're entering into the middle, I'm like, yo, so far it's been pretty good. There were some songs that were 2 out of 3, 3 out of 3, but the vibes have been pretty much consistent. And I, at that point, I could say I did like it more than his last project, his collab project with K Tronada. Now we hop into track 8. It's called Familiar. And like, the beat, fire, and I feel like it really got my head bopping quick. Like, those songs, as soon as you hear the beat, you're like, yeah, this is it. That's how I felt about Familiar. And on here, Aminé's like, I can't imagine her with someone else. And I really did love how he experimented with his voice here, singing and rapping and still giving a dance vibe to something that's, sounds like a little sad, like I can't imagine her with anybody else kind of vibe. But I gave this a 3 out of 3. So now we hop into track 9. This one's called Doing the Best I Can. And like the title says, Aminé talks about doing the best he can. He's sipping something strong and trying to keep his head up, but he can't keep pleasing and wondering who will be there for him. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's trying to be at the head of the house, but it's not easy. It's not easy trying to hold it down for everybody. It ain't even easy holding it down for yourself. You know what I'm saying? This song, although I did like what he was like alluding to and talking about, uh, it was more on the I guess it was more on the boring side for me, so it was a 1 out of 3. I'll be honest. Now we hop into track 10 called Temptations. This is on some humble accountability vibes. Sometimes he thinks he knows it all, but that ain't the case. He don't know what he got until it's gone. So it seems to be the tale of him like, yo, his conscience is telling him one thing, but he knows is another, and just that internal battle of being right, but not necessarily doing the right thing. So on here, I gave it a 2 out of 3. And then we hop into 11. Be easier on yourself. This was a motivational kind of song. And he's like, not everyone survives what you went through. You know what I'm saying? Like, give it time. Everything is going to be all right. You're going to be good. I'm telling y'all this here too. Like, everything will be all right. And just take it one day at a time. Don't be, not even one day, take it one moment at a time. Because sometimes you try to think about the rest of the day, you start freaking out. So live in the moment that you're living in, and everything will be okay. And yes, you will hit bumps along the way, but it's going to be fine. Now, that's enough for the therapy session for this episode. We're going to hop into the next track after I let y'all know that was a 2 out of 3. Now, track 12 is called Raspberry Kisses. This is a cute one. On here, he's like, she's blowing these raspberry kisses. Let's make it official. But, Shorty got morals, and he's like, he wants to do it all with her forever. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like a feel good song to dedicate to the person you're crushing on kind of vibe. You know what I'm saying? So I gave it a 3 out of 3. It was a cute song. I ain't gonna lie. Now we hop into track 13. This one's called 13 Months, similar to the title of the album, 13 Months of Sunshine. Now, in 13 months, he's like on here, like, yo, 12 months in a year, but I need an extra one. He needs that extra month of sunshine. And on here, he's bragging. He's like, he's bigging up his East African side. He speaks on his heritage, culture, and there's a beat switch towards the 2-minute part of the song that elevated it all the way for me. And I was like, woof. And then he's on here like, don't fuck up his name. It came from his grandfather. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't care if, fucking up his name, if that's going to make it easier for the barista. Say his name right. Say it with pride to Aminé. And here too, his pop speaks a few times. And then he talks about how his dad be passing the blunt to him, which I thought was funny. So I gave this song a 3 out of 3. So now I'm going to hop into the last 3 songs on this project. Thank y'all for bearing with me. Now, track 14 is called Changer, with featuring Chloe the God. And on here, it's like, ain't perfect, but willing to try, just as long as your love don't change. Just as long as your love don't change. Just as long as your love don't change. Whatever. I ain't no singer. I like to give y'all a little sign to tell y'all the vibes, right? But on here, it's like, take off your gloves, take down your guard kind of vibes. This was a nice bop. Another, implementation of like house vibes. You know what I'm saying? 2 out of 3. I guess I could say I like house music to a certain extent. I like it when, people making a new vibe with it. You know what I'm saying? So then we get into track 15 called Arc de Triomphe. And on here, pretty much he's like, he needs a bitch that's bad with an arc like the Arc of Triumph, which is, a crazy arc. And then how he's, he's proud of himself and his success. And, he says it again here, say his name right, or his disrespect to his culture. And he's really just popping his shit. Like, let me get that baddie with the crazy arch, respect my name. And I've been doing this, you know what I'm saying? I'm reaching my height of success, and it's only going to continue up from here. 3 out of 3. So track 16 is called Images, featuring 454 and Toro y Moi. Now, Toro y Moi, I actually came across him around high school time, and there was a project called Boo Boo that dropped in 27. Oh, actually, this would be college. I'm lying. College time. So there was a project by them called Boo Boo. And this was something that I was really liking because it was different. It was like a mixture of like rap and rock. And Tori Moy is led by Chaz Bear, which he's huge on like that kind of sound. And you could tell that, they definitely merged that into this with Aminé, and the song was really fire. You can hear the guitar vibes on the beat, and it was a really solid outro song. I gave it a 2 out of 3. And overall, I really enjoyed this album. The house music vibes with rap is always an elite collab, honestly. I love that feel good music for the soul, you know what I'm saying? And Aminé came back strong with this. I thoroughly enjoyed it. He's gonna be on tour. He actually just dropped the tour, and the tickets are out. He's gonna be in New York in October. I might just gotta go see him. But the best feature on here will be the New Flower song with Leon Thomas. But I want to give credits to Toro y Moi and 454. Now, as far as keep it songs, nothing. It was a cohesive playlist of songs. I honestly think every song belonged on here. I was feeling the vibe. I was like, okay, this is good energy right here. You know what I'm saying? Now the best song I would say 13 months. This is where Aminé really thoroughly talks his shit, shows his rap strengths as well. And like I love the beach switch in this song as well. So that's why it's the best song and it's number one on my top five. And then number two, I would say Arc de Triomphe. And then I would say number three will be New Flower with Leon Thomas. Four, Feels So Good. Five will be Familiar. And then my honorable mention, the Vacay song. How could you be mad at the Vacay song? Go on vacation if you're mad at it. I would say this album is 8.5 out of 10. I gave it A minus. I was like 8.5 to 9. A minus for me. Aminé did that. Like I said, I think I gotta go see him in tour after this. One of the artists that I've been listening to for years, and this just reminded me of why I started to listen to him in the first place. So keep fucking doing your thing, Aminé. You right. You know what I'm saying? Put some respect on that man's name. He deserves it. But yeah, that's the end of my project reviews, y'all. I told y'all it was going to be a jam-packed one. I hope y'all enjoyed it, though. I really just wanted to give y'all some different things across different categories and hopefully some new artists that y'all can explore too. Like, turn up that playlist. Switch it up. But make sure you hit that like and subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. For my audio lovers, I always appreciate y'all. Make sure you download this episode. Follow the show on your favorite podcast platform so that way you can get updates when new episodes are out. And of course, for all y'all, whether you watch a video, listening to audio, follow the Culture Decides on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter and X, Twitter/X, I should say. That's where, I share some clips, some additional thoughts, and y'all can really just continue the conversation with me. This is the Culture Decides, and I want to hear what you have to say too. So, y'all have a great one. Until next time, peace out.